Session. Okay. Okay. So just a quick recap what we have learned till yesterday session. So what is Git actually? What is the difference between Git and GitHub? And some, I mean, how to create the a new repository. What is actually a repository? What repository do for Git? So that particular stuffs you have learned yesterday. So I'll be just quickly go through for Git branches and different commit, pull, push request and all. And a quick example with our PyCharm, if we just want to connect PyCharm with the Git, how that can be possible and all. So those kind of stuff I'll quickly cover for today's session. So yeah, that should not be a big session for today. And this is the last session for, I mean, this crash course. The new session will be started again from the next week onwards with the data classes first, then again big data, Git, and cloud computing as well. So let's get started for today's session. So it should be the rest of the stuffs in Git. So yeah, creation of branches. So yesterday we checked how to create the repository and all. So why we need to create the branch? Actually, there is a main branch which is, by which the code is getting deployed into the higher version. Okay, suppose we are working in dev, the same code to be migrated to QA for the testing purpose, to the UAT for user acceptance testing, to the production as well. But there may be various code versions. I mean, maybe there are thousands of developers working in a single project or single application. Not thousand, we can say 100. Okay, maybe 100 people are working there, changing at their side, but whose change should be populated to production. So that's why the branches concept is there. There should be one main branch, but whoever the developer is working on that particular branch, they will be creating a particular feature branch on top of that branch. Okay, so the developer is having that particular facility that they can check which particular commit they can work on top of that. Okay, so they will choose a particular commit or particular uh, point of instance. They can take this thing master branch. They can create a feature branch on top of that master branch, and they can create their changes on top of that one, and they can merge the same change into the master branch, so that the main or the master branch should be having the original or the developed code should be available. Okay, so just like this should be the concept. This is the master branch. Developers are working side by side with the new feature branch, and ultimately the branch should be merged with the main branch. Git has the capability to check what are the changes. It will also track the changes at the master side and parallelly also track the changes for the multiple feature side. Okay, so this should be another concept we can see. So those are the commit points. Okay, so suppose a developer has took these commit points as his, uh, his working development working should be starting from this commit point. So he has created this feature branch. Okay, and then he shifted. I mean, he merged it to the main branch. So what is the git command? If we are just going ahead with the git bash, then the command should be just like this: git switch branch. Switch master. So we are switching from the master. Yeah, a new feature branch should be created. After changing inside, those file stuffs and everything, it should be git merge feature branch. Then feature branch should be merged to the masters. Okay. So the concept is very simple and very straightforward as well. Now the concept will be coming that maybe a developer is, maybe two developers are working in a single file itself. Okay. And in the single file, both of them has made some changes. So suppose the first developer has already modified something, but the second developer's code doesn't have that modified code version when he started working on top of that one. So the first developer is having some added code over there, and the second second particular developer is also having a new version of developed code in his file, but without having the first developer's code or updated one. So they have started it parallelly with a single point of instance. So then merge conflict should be appearing. Okay. So merge conflicts, this is the same that I want to say over here. So the best practice should be, if one developer, if we are trying to change something, then we have to update our repository or update our branch. So all the recent changes should be reflected first. Okay. Then we need to start working, and then we need to push our changes into main or master branch. That should be the concept. But at the same instance of time, if the same issue is occurring again, then what we have to do, we need to identify which file is occurring that issue. We need to remove that conflict to that file. Okay. So then, I mean, this is the normal method. We need to decide which branches content we want to keep. For each conflict, we need to check which should be the current, I mean, updated one, maybe the first developers, or maybe the second one, or maybe both of them should be fine. Then we need to manually keep those stuffs, and that's why the conflict should be removed. And anyone who is having the merged one, maybe both of them or single one, or I mean, single one or both, they should have to push it or change it, and need to commit the same thing at the master side. Then merge conflict should be removed. Okay. Okay. Now it's topic for Git stashing. So I mean, stash, it's the command is git stash. So stash, it's another thing. It helps to save changes that you are not yet ready to commit. So stash, I mean, you suppose you have changed something, but you did not commit it. So there is a temporary storage, we can say, just like stash will help to save that particular change. So while, I mean, for conflicting purpose, someone has removed your changes or anything, but you need that changes for some purpose, then stash will help you with your changes to be there. Okay. The command for stash is git stash. So every whatever we have learned over here, so that thing is also available as a button format in GUI, graphical user interface. Just like source tree, if you are using any other GitHub, I mean any other Git GUI version or GUI software over there, they have the particular buttons for push, pull, stash, those kind of stuff, merging activity, committing part. Okay. But if you are just working in a command line program in Git Bash, then those are all the commands. Okay. So this is the difference we have already covered yesterday. So I'll be just covering, I mean, I'll be starting GitHub again for today. So just a quick introduction again for the difference between Git and GitHub. So Git is the main thing actually based on which GitHub, GitLab, those kind of services are being provided. Okay. Git is a version control software that runs locally on a machine. So we cannot assume the remote part over here. We do not have to connect with network for Git. We can simply install Git over here in our system itself, and we can track changes for any kind of files or anything. Okay. No need to register for an account. No need to register for an, yeah, that point is twice. Okay. I'll remove that one. No need of internet as well. So it's totally local. And GitHub, as we should be working as a whole team member in a project in business purpose. So on top of GitHub is a service. So it is a service that hosts on Git repository in the cloud and makes it easier to collaborate with other people. So this is the main difference. But for the project purpose, that's why we are using GitHub, GitLab, not directly Git. Okay. So we should be having an account for the GitHub. Actually, for all the projects, they should be having GitHub access for the single repository for that particular project. Okay, it's obviously online and it should be shared in, I mean, it should be shared between multiple peoples. So for GitHub, how it should be working? So for GitHub, a particular, if you just open into portal and you can log into the portal, then for the particular GitHub, there is certain URL. Okay. So for GitHub, actually the developers, what they can do, they can clone the remote areas work into their local system. So whatever is present in the, master branch or any kind of feature branch they are creating at the remote side, they can clone the entire stuffs. And the same kind of folder structure should be created with all the code bases and all in his or her local system. Then they can change the thing by their own, and they can push the change back to the remote. Okay, so that can be done by Git Bash as well. And there are lots of, whatever I told, GUIs are available. It can be done just like GitHub Desktop. Source tree is also available. Tortoise is there. So those can be also done by those kind of GUI. Okay. So for bash, git bash, this is the particular thing, the command git clone, then the remote URL we need to push over here. Now, if we change anything at our local system, for a particular code base or anything, we can push these changes to the remote branch. That should be reflected in the remote portal where everyone can see. So, that the same thing we can do this thing from the portal. Sorry, from the particular GUI version as well as from the git bash. The command is present over here in git bash. For GUI, it's very simple. All the buttons are readily available there. We just have to work with the GUI. It's very simple. Just to click on top of that one. If there is any conflict, it will be showing us with the red lines and all. So the GUI is very much helpful, but it's a bit slow. So developers mainly who are very much experienced with the command line interfaces and all, they used to uh, use that particular command line, git bash command line. Okay, so it's git push, then remote, the particular remote URL, then the branch name should be the command. Similarly, we have git fetch, git pull. It's same almost, but git fetch, it's only taking the thing from the remote. There is a certain difference. Actually, I was checking over here difference between git pull and git branch. You can also check something. First, the git fetch is having some limited activity than git pull. Git pull, it will be pulling everything what is new to your system. It should be pulling that particular part only. It will append the new thing. Okay, what is present in remote and it's not present in your local or in your feature branch. It will be pulling that particular stuffs, but fetch will be fetching all the stuffs again, what is present at the remote side, and the same thing over there. Okay, the same kind of commands should be there. Just we are checking over here, just at my slide. Okay, another thing, PyCharm. Okay, this is the practical scenario if we are working in a PyCharm. I just give this thing as an example over here. So suppose we are a Python developer and we are working on top of PyCharm and we are writing Python code over here. Okay, so there is, whatever we have just learned over here, we can uh, clone the particular remote stuffs in our local. Then on top of this local folder, we can open our project in PyCharm. This is one option. And then we can push the changes. If any code changes is required, we can change the thing over here and we can save the thing at our local code base. And the same thing can be pushed to remote system. This is the thing generally we used to do earlier, but in PyCharm, we can directly pull everything from the remote branch. There is another option over here. Just like over here, we can see if we open PyCharm, there's a tab VCS. If we connect to Git, we have the option to connect particular repository over here in remote. Okay. So we have that option. We can pull everything from there. We can change the thing and we can push it there again. So we do not have to clone anything at our local system. We are directly trying to get that code bases from remote servers or remote link. We can changes everything what we require, and the same changes can be reflected at the target. So we have both of the options. Nowadays, all the developers are using this kind of stuffs. But we need to careful which particular Git repository or which particular branches we are checking in. Because suppose we have changed something at our side, but while checking for this particular code version, we have selected another branch. Then some other branch can be modified. That thing we need to look up. Okay, so those are all the basic stuffs actually what we have covered for Git as of now. So nothing more. When you are working in the Git, then you should be having more experience on top of that one. I hope there is nothing more for today. Yeah. So this is also, I mean, a very little course for today as well for Git stuffs. Actually, the next day or next session, I'll be merging these two sessions in a single session so that we can cover more things. So that's all for today as of now. From coming week onwards, the new session should be started again. Starting from the data side, the SQL language is Python and all. Hopefully, we can connect from that day again and with some new more courses with Hadoop and all. Okay, then if there is any doubt, you can quickly ask me. If not, then we can quickly wrap up the session. Okay, hopefully no. Then let's disconnect and connect again for the next week. So have a great day. Happy weekend. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.